Hey, you know what? Here's a message to Andrew Freeman. Don't try to tell us it's not cold out here, man. My car thermometer's reading 9 degrees, and it's not even 5 o'clock in State College, Pennsylvania. This is not right, man. It is cold. It is much colder than usual. It is much colder than normal. And it's probably close to record cold. So don't try to tell me it's not cold out here. Don't try to tell me about global warming and how it makes things colder. I'm a meteorologist, but I'm also a warm-blooded person, and I can tell it's freaking cold out here. It doesn't matter what you say about global warming causing cold. That doesn't make sense to the average person. It sure as heck doesn't make sense to a meteorologist. So don't try to tell us it's not cold out here. There are plenty of record lows being set. Maybe they're not monthly December lows, but it's plenty freaking cold for this day. And by the way, is there any wonder why there are being more warm records set than cold? That's your whole argument. Well, guess what? Thermometers never read cold. I've been familiar with instrumentation my whole life. Thermometers read hot. That's what they do. You can't make one read cold. But there are a million ways you can make a thermometer read hot. At the very least, urbanization is a problem. If you go to surfacestations.org, you can look this stuff up for yourself, folks. We're putting thermometers next to air conditioning vents that are putting out hot air. We're putting them next to planes taking off at airports. This is insanity. Urbanization is the problem. The record highs are not happening. They're happening because of mankind who's built up around these weather stations. I am freezing my ass off here, Andrew Friedman. It is cold. Please stop telling us it's not. Here's another thing. It took me forever to even read your freaking blog. How much money are you making off of this thing, Holmes? I went to your blog, and then I got a full-page ad for jewelry. I couldn't even close it. What's that about? How's that related to global warming? And then, of course, Mashable reloads all their web pages twice when you load them up, so that they can double, triple up on the ads. I don't know what's up with that. You know, I used to have more respect for Mashable because they used to be a nice little geeky kind of place to get news, but now they just post a bunch of junk, you know, without any research or anything. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing all the time on the blog, but I'm telling you that's what Mashable's doing. And if you want to be taken seriously, you probably should run screaming from them, because they really have become the BuzzFeed of news and science on the internet. But I'm just bitching because I'm cold. My feet are cold. My legs are freezing. And you're trying to tell me this is global warming. Well, how exactly does that work? Oh, and another thing. You said there's been no records because there's been no monthly or all-time records set. So you're dismissing daily records, saying, well, daily records don't really matter. But then the whole hypothesis of your entire blog is that global warming is happening because there's more daily records happening on the warm side, if you measure by decade. And while that may be true, it's because the instrumentation is being warmed by things that mankind have stuck next to it, and we're not measuring these stations. What I'm trying to say is we're not measuring these stations. We're not keeping up with these stations the way we should. We're letting men encroach on them, and thermometers are going to read higher. That's just my 2 cents worth. And finally, why I'm in a heart-shaped box, I have no idea. I don't know how to change this application on my phone, so make as much fun of me as you wish to for that. But never let it be said that it is not cold today. The wind chill is below zero. The real feel is below zero. The temperature's in the single freaking digits. This is not global warming. Last December in State College, it never got colder than 23 degrees. Now that's something we can talk about. That's warm. But guess what? It's still not global warming. It's El Nino, which, by the way, is what you're using to prove that global warming is real, is the recent El Nino, which has caused temperatures in the Arctic to be insanely warm and temperatures in other places to be insanely cold, but we don't want to talk about that. We only want to talk about the warm places. Let me ask you something. What do you think happens to animals and plants that get too cold? What if we're wrong? What if the climate is changing, but it's not just changing for the warmer? You don't think that cold can kill species and make plants move across the globe? In the 70s, we were very worried about global cooling because the short-term temperature trends were plunging. And now we're very worried about global warming because the short-term temperature trends are spiking. But the temperature actually dropped last month. You guys tried to make fun of the report, but the temperature dropped further and harder worldwide than it ever had before on record. And that's something significant. So if you want to say global warming, I don't want you to say global warming at all. If you want to say climate change is going to make some places hotter and some places colder and everything more extreme, then that's fine. Let's say that. But let's not say that global warming is making the Earth colder except for the United States and Europe. Because guess what? That's not global if it doesn't include the United States and Europe. Look, I'm not saying there can't be short-term and long-term changes in the weather. But I am saying that it's 9 freaking degrees out here right now, and I'm freezing my ass off. Good morning, folks. It's December 16th, 2016, and I'm freezing my butt off here in State College, Pennsylvania. It is so freaking cold outside, I can't even. When I left the house, it was 4 degrees outside. 4 degrees. Let me tell you, something I read last night on Twitter made me kind of mad. A tweet by Andrew Friedman leading to a blog on Mashable, which, by the way, had such a big full-screen ad about jewelry I could barely read it. Andrew Friedman says, it's not cold. It's not actually cold outside, see? Because of global warming. Which causes cold, by the way. The number of records being set outside is inconsequential because they're just daily records. So this is not really a cold wave. It's not really cold outside. Well, Andrew, I got some news for you. I don't know where you live, but it's cold as hell here in central Pennsylvania. And I'm freezing my butt off. So, I'd like to request that you stop telling people this is not a cold outbreak and that it's not cold and that global warming causes cold and that it still counts as global warming even if the United States and Europe are having cold snaps all the time. Look, last night it was 36 below zero at Mount Washington, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire. 36 below zero. It was the coldest temperature they had experienced in December since 1993, when I was in freaking college for meteorology, by the way. So don't tell me this is not a cold snap and the records are not being set. In the last week, there have been 109 record lows or record low minimums set in the United States, according to NCDC, where I used to work. And that's only through Wednesday of this week. So when these records come in for Thursday and this morning, Friday, it's going to be insane. So as I drive through the frozen tundra of central Pennsylvania, where it's 4 degrees and no doubt below zero in some of the surrounding communities, I'd just like to say it's cold and we need to stop telling people it's not. Thank you.